Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
McSherman is a demon.
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another ATS News live stream. We are continuing our Gypsy Rose train wreck coverage. And if you're new to this channel definitely started out as completely in support of her as far as starting a fresh life, etc. As our research started to unravel, we start questioning her statements, and pretty much it's going on almost a year that she's been released, and none of us are really impressed with anything that she has accomplished. And everything that she's done has been equally as questionable. So as we've discussed before, and moderators, thank you for being here. Thank you, Adrian, letting me know that the sound check is good. Hello, Sherry and Johnny, Mary Beth, everyone who's here, Debbie Fox, good to see you guys. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. It's greatly appreciated. So let's just get right into it. So we've just been kind of keeping up with her updates on social media, as well as going back through her testimony in court and her interrogation video. And we're just kind of cross-referencing statements that she's been making and contradicts herself. And all we can chalk it up to is lies, lies after lies after lies. So if she's lying about little things, it's kind of led us all to think that she possibly could have lied about the crime itself and been much more involved than she claims to have been. And as time goes on, I cannot help but think more and more that, you know what? I don't know if I believe that she was in the bathroom the whole time, like she has claimed. And yeah, keep your nose clean or you will fall under ATS's microscope. Yes. I'm very detail oriented. I catch everything. I remember things really well too. And that's why I was kind of confused when I seen her latest TikTok stuff. So let's actually jump to her Instagram and then we'll get into the TikToks. So since we spoke last, she has been in California posting with Ken in San Diego. This is the questionable post that we're going to be looking at, and it is on her TikTok as well, but some of these ones are not. And I don't want to play actually the video because it has copyrighted music. But as you see, her and Ken have been in California. She is 24 weeks, almost 20. Actually, she's probably 25 at this point. And allegedly, I say that because I think she's pregnant, but I know that other people question that. So I'll leave that for your guys' opinions. So, okay. And this was the last video we looked at, the cringe one of her new personality that shined through. We went through it last week. Now we've talked about how she has stated that she's starting, to do an audio book. And not only is this book number what? I mean, there's already been a few already out there, but she stated that this one's coming out. She's already trying to promote it. She's talked about how Christy's involvement, her stepmother, is going to have involvement in it because, she knew Dee Dee as well and has insight to bring to the table too. Just kind of continuing to monetize off of the crime. Now, a lot of people have questioned, how's that possible? I thought that was illegal. It depends on the state. And apparently, the state that the crimes were committed in, she is able to do what she's been doing. And that's just kind of monetizing off of it. She says, I want to show my side and I want to tell my story. We've heard your story numerous times. We've heard it in documentaries. We've heard it on your Lifetime show. We've heard it on Dr. Phil. We heard it in the courtroom. Every single one has been different, very slight inconsistencies, and then very blatant inconsistencies. So let's watch this.
My mom volunteered for the girl.
So this is her being recorded as she does her audio. And yeah, I'll break it down for you.
My mom volunteered for the Girl Scouts, but we changed troops a lot, always starting over. Because my exposure to anyone other than my mother was so limited, I had no idea that the way I lived was different or unusual. How could I? I attended school for 1 year, kindergarten. After that, Mama pulled me out to homeschool me. Except that was a lie. She didn't register me as a homeschooler. My mom volunteered for the Girl Scouts, but we changed troops a lot, always starting over. Because my exposure to anyone other than my mother was so limited, I had no idea that the way I lived was different or unusual. How could I? I attended school for 1 year, kindergarten.
Boom, right there. I attended school for 1 year, kindergarten. Wait a minute, what? She's speaking lightly. I'm not sure why, but the TikTok video is up all the way and my computer is up all the way. So you'll have to kind of play around with the volume with her and then when I start talking. Sorry about that. We'll blame it on Gypsy. She's got her new personality right now, which is the audiobook reader. And hello, Keenly, and everyone else who has joined. Sexy Wild Thing, McLovin, Freaking Claus, good to see you. Melanie, good to see you as well. So right there, kindergarten. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. I swear she has stated that she went to school to 2nd grade. Sure enough, Google it. States 2nd grade 9 months ago on Reddit. There's other sources too on Google that state 2nd grade. You can also reference her Dr. Phil episode here.
I have a job. My job is working on my housing unit, janitorial services. So I clean.
Growing up, Gypsy's mother claimed to homeschool her due to her fake illnesses, but in reality, Gypsy never got schooling past the 2nd grade.
I go to school in the morning. I love going to the library. They offer free education, and especially for someone like me that came here with a 2nd grade education, never been to real school. I'm very close to getting my GED.
Gypsy had held a job and worked on her education. She also had good behavior and was released just 2 days ago. She's been reunited with her husband, who she met and married while in prison, and her family, which includes her dad, stepmom, and sister. Gypsy says she has many plans for her future. She wants to give support to those who have also been victims of Munchausen by proxy, and has a 3-part special coming out in early January where she will tell her own story for the first time.
I attended school for 1 year, kindergarten.
So how does attending school for 1 year come from telling Dr. Phil that she only has a second grade education. Other sources, I know there's other clips out there of her talking about only going to school till second grade. I want to say maybe even on a Lifetime show. But, you know, it's like she gets annoyed that we pick apart her statements like, oh, big deal. It is a big deal when they just are continuous. It's like compulsive. It's pathological. These lies, they flow out of her mouth. Like you guys stated in chat, she's openly said that she's a good liar, that her mother taught her how to lie and not feel bad about it. These are her own statements. So when we're talking about the crime itself, it goes back to us wondering how much of it really did just fall on Nick and how much of it really was a participant from Gypsy. So just wanted to show you guys that. I think it's a bunch of BS that we're continuously catching her in statements that are just not true. Makes us question a lot of things that come out of her mouth. I just don't like it. I feel more and more that we're just being fooled by her whole narrative. She's got this new book coming out. She wants to just keep swaying opinion to her, public opinion to her side and her narrative. And I just won't do it. I know that whole audiobook that she's recording right here, that's not even going to be the only lie in it. There will be more lies. Jen, good to see you. I feel like she's going to do something again. She'll end up in prison. A lot of people think that. And we don't wish her ill will here, but it's just so questionable. And hello, Roro, and everyone else. Aries, good to see you. Just don't like it. I just do not like it. So let's see what else she posted this week. Oh, this is...
Most of us fail.
This is Rich. Thank you to San Francisco State University for allowing me the opportunity to share my thoughts on prison reform, education, and advocating for positive change in the justice system. Meanwhile, your ex-boyfriend sits rotting without the possibility of parole for helping you in a crime against your mother. But yeah, go here in the university and start, advocating. Of course, she only has positive comments. I heard that she was being ripped apart for this. Oh, and of course, somebody mentions her little rival, the one that she said, my man wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. Jobless Nina is probably already on live, punching the air about this. Love you, Gypsy. You stay shining and glowing. And she clapped at it. Like, honey, you deserve the criticism. Although I do think that some people are just kind of like obsessed with it, like posting multiple times a day about her. I don't know how. Like, I can barely stomach our once a week lives on her.
Most of us fail because when we learn about the price of success, we run the other way. Don't run. Believe in yourself. When they show you who they are, believe them. Don't give a pass. Don't give the benefit of the doubt. Believe them. No one is required to believe your dreams except for you. That's why the dream was given to you. Hold on to them, protect them, and most importantly, pursue them. Believe in yourself. Opportunities are often missed because they are dressed in overalls and look like work. With great success comes great work. There is not one without the other. Roll up those sleeves and get to it. Believe in yourself. The biggest key to success is to start. If you never start, you will never finish. Most people never attain their goals because they fail to try. Don't let that be you. Believe in yourself. Most of us fail because when we learn about the price of success, we run the other way. Don't run.
And I love how she shares something in there that says, when people show you who they are, believe them. We're kind of thinking that about you, Gypsy. Like, we've given you the chance to change and show us that you've changed since prison. You got out, you used Ryan, you likely cheated on him. Either that baby is Ryan's or it's Ken's, but she conceived it way before they came public about their relationship. Like, she was probably going behind Ryan's back, sleeping with Ken. Lynn's P. Hi from the UK. How can her mother, and hello, it's good to see you from across the pond. How can her mother be diagnosed after her death with Munchausen? Gypsy has a chromosome disorder, so did need medical intervention, not excusing her mother's actions on some things. Yes, that's a common question. All I know is in a documentary, the doctor spoke out, and it was this doctor here, and he said that he believed that he had seen evidence that Dee Dee had Munchausen by proxy. So, yes, she never was diagnosed, but there is record of the doctor and his statements pretty much saying, like, I'd seen questionable things myself, but I didn't report it. It says when Gypsy was 14, and yes, she does have that chromosomal disorder, which requires medical attention. However, from my experience or research, the feeding tube for that disorder usually doesn't last but a couple years. And hers, she had for a long time. I think that it could be true that Dee Dee had that disorder or Munchausen, but I also think that Gypsy was also in on the scamming and the lying and all that. So I think both statements could be true. A lot of people think that that doctor is lying. I don't think that a doctor would go out in public and on TV and stuff like that and come out saying like, yeah, I saw this and I didn't do anything, like, unless it was factual. That's just my opinion. Because he would have like a lot of credibility issues, and he treated her, so he is tied to her records. It says when Gypsy was 14, she saw a neurologist in Missouri and who came to believe she was a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. However, this doctor never reported it to the authorities. In later interviews, he stated his belief that there wasn't enough evidence to act. In 2009, an anonymous report was made to the authorities stating that Dee Dee's accounts of Gypsy's ailments had no medical basis. So this doctor did end up trying to put it through, but it never went anywhere. This resulted in 2 caseworkers visiting their home. And there is evidence of the caseworkers visiting, like CPS, but Dee Dee convinced them there was nothing wrong. So I do think that there was alarms going off. Now, she was never diagnosed because she was killed. That's just my opinion. I know that other people are like, no, 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 no. I'm not convinced. As much as I think that Gypsy's a liar, I'm not convinced that there wasn't something strange going on with Dee Dee and like this medical stuff. I mean, they had the Make-A-Wish Foundation give them, free trips and stuff. Like, she was telling people that she had cancer. So I do think that there is some sort of trail of that, a possibility of that. So yes, she was never diagnosed, but she was killed. So that could be why. Again, other people disagree, and that's fine. I just have my own opinions. If you want to hear the same regurgitated Gypsy Rose stuff, then there's other places I'm sure that kind of repeat that. This I just wanted to play before we get into, they also got a free house. So I think that as much as Dee Dee loved to scam and she had a record of fraudulent behavior, I think that there was a level of her that kind of spiraled out of control when it came to the medical aspect of the frauding too. So she was a fraudster, yes, but I believe that she also, it's likely that she had Munchausen by proxy. But not everything that Gypsy had done to her, medically speaking, was a Munchausen by proxy type of thing. Because like we've stated, she did have that chromosomal disorder. All right, so I just wanted to play some of these little Gypsy clips because they're just ridiculous, and then we'll get into her interrogation. I don't know how much of the interrogation I'll be able to stomach tonight. My back is killing me, and yeah, it's just so much Gypsy lies that we'll see how much we get through. But thank you all for being here.
So this is my residence where I live with my parents, and I have to live. Oh, thank you, Tara. I have to live with my parents until I finish parole. So, or if we get married. If we get married, I can live with him. I can transfer my parole over to him. But because we're not married, I can't parole to a boyfriend. It has to be either a spouse or like a legal spouse or a family member. So. To get married.
Yeah, crazy story. Yesterday, I was at the. Yeah.
So, to get married.
Yes, we'll have to get married. Well, you have to get divorced first, Gypsy. Did you forget about that?
Yeah, crazy story. Yesterday, I was at the.
I'm getting good. Yeah, I'm getting better.
Did you wait? I didn't know if I was still muted. You have to get divorced first, Gypsy, before you can get married. Guess you forgot about that.
To get married.
Yeah, crazy story. Yesterday, I was at the.
I'm getting good. Yeah, I'm getting better at my makeup. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna wear. Why don't I move in with Ken?
Yes, Tony, I could see that too. I definitely could see that. It also seemed like there possibly could have been some addiction issues with pain pills. I don't know. I know it's too much. Then there was another clip I wanted to play just to kind of show you what an actress she is. This is after her release, obviously, and you can just see the acting, the insincerity in her voice and mannerisms in her face, etc. Much like when she was on the stand and she was testifying, in my opinion.
Whatever arguments we have, whatever drama gets thrown at us on social media, we're gonna stick together. We're not breaking because we are a family now. And as unconventional as this relationship and this child may have came from, I couldn't be happier. And this is a blessing. I found my freedom in a way that I never expected. And I'm okay with that. Everything that has ever happened to me in my life suddenly doesn't matter. Because it all led me to be who I am today. And it all led me to this moment right here, right now. And that's a blessing. To say that I made it. That's a success story.
That's a success story. Success in what? Fooling everybody and getting out of prison in 8 years? when you had much more involvement, in my opinion. Unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable. All right, so those were the updates, and now we'll just get into our recap. I know, right? Gag me. I mean, who really buys it? Well, I mean, she does have a lot of support. I don't think 10 million followers on her TikTok, which, by the way, ever since we've been watching her TikTok followers has not gone up. Yeah, I know. I'm worried because we've seen what happens to her when she breaks mentally. She's going to end up leaving her daughter with Ken, like she did Pixie with Ryan. It can go so many different ways. Or Ken's just going to end up leaving with the baby and being like, you're crazy. Yeah, Nick, poor guy in prison. All right, so we did get through some last week, and we'll continue now.
Missouri for some time, and we just moved into that house, the Habitat for Humanity house, in 2008. So we lived in Springfield since 2008.
When you guys go to Florida, did you drive?
No, we flew.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like Missouri to Florida would be kind of a long trip. Probably almost.
Not to mention we had to go up to go down.
Yeah.
Because we had to go to Chicago and then to Florida.
Oh, for the flight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. That'd be a long flight, though.
It was.
Especially if you won't live to Chicago, and you probably sit in Chicago for an hour.
Mm-hmm. But the airport in Chicago is really pretty because they have, in this one section of it, there's this big gold globe of the world, and then surrounding it they have all the different flags of all the countries.
Okay.
And that's at the Chicago airport.
Yeah.
So it's really pretty.
Yeah, I like that airport.
Mm-hmm.
To ride the trains around.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fun.
I'm trying to remember, where was that airport that I'm thinking of?
Yes, Linz, there will be a DNA test demanded by the courts.
About where they had the creepy skeleton thing. Yeah, this creepy skeleton is a piece of art.
Doesn't sound like a very good piece of art.
But have you ever heard the story? I think it's a Greek story. And I don't remember the name of it offhand, but it's about a father that made wings for his son, and his son flew too close to the sun.
And they melted.
Right.
The wings were made of wax. Yes. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But I can't think of what it's actually called.
Me neither, but I remember the
should have paid more
story.
attention in college, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And anyway, they had this piece of art of the skeleton and the wings.
Okay.
And I just can't remember what airport that was at. I think that might be in New Orleans airport.
It's an odd statue to put in an airport.
Yeah. And it always scared me. I'm like, what is that? It looks like a gargoyle. And Mom's like, it's from a story. It's a piece of art.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing to put in an airport. I remember when Body World was in.
Yes, Thunder Chick. I was just thinking that. You know, referencing a Greek mythology for someone who says she knew nothing on how to do things, she sure knows plenty listening to her here. She still plays that off like, well, you know, I was just so sheltered. Like we heard her say in that audiobook, you know, my mom kept me so, you know, away from things, blah, 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 blah. She's pretty articulate for someone who had little schooling, right? Who got taken out. The new quote is kindergarten. First it's second grade. Now all of a sudden it's kindergarten.
Milwaukee.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Is that the thing with the bodies?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, with like the muscles and everything.
Uh-huh.
Well,
I think it's Kansas City.
to advertise it being in Milwaukee. I remember they put a couple skeletons in the airport. I always thought that was a little strange.
That freaked me out so much. It came to Kansas City in Missouri, and I didn't even want to go because at first I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting because my mom, she was going to college to be a nurse. So I'm like, well, that's interesting. Maybe we can teach me a few things. And but once I found out they came from real bodies, actual people, I'm like, oh no, no.
Scared you off a little
Not
bit?
doing it. Oh, no. That is just sick.
Yeah, it was a interesting art museum exhibit. I thought it was pretty cool.
You're brave. In Kansas City, they have Union Station, and a lot of things travel there. And the most interesting thing that I went to see was Princess Diana's dress, her wedding dress. They had the exhibit that came over from London, and it had different things of her childhood, and they had the iconic wedding dress. So we got to see that.
That's pretty cool.
And as well as the Dead Sea Scrolls.
She knows all about the Dead Sea Scrolls. So did NK. For those who follow the Watts case. In my opinion, even without Dee Dee grooming her to grift, she's still a natural-born psychopath, highly skilled in mimicking high executive function of a normal human being. I agree. And I mean, look at her here, just playing this whole innocent role. After knowing what she and Nick did, she's just in here, like, talking it up with this guy like she's just some innocent, helpless girl. It's sick. And she's still doing it to this day. Now she wants to, advocate for prison reform.
Wow.
That was another exhibit. Titanic. I went to see was Princess Diana's dress, her wedding dress. Disappeared, and the St. Louis Arch at the very top, at the very center, there's a weak spot. So if that falls, the two pieces connecting will fall.
Okay.
Because there will be no people to maintain it, and corrosion will happen, and different things like that. I found it so interesting, so I'm like, I want to go see it.
See it before it can fall. Interesting. Yeah, because I think there's...
Yeah, I agree, Thunder Chick. Nick would not be spending the rest of his life in prison if it wasn't for Gypsy. I feel that way even about Chris Watts. I think the mistress was the catalyst. Had he never met her, this never would have happened. I think that very much in this case as well. Thunder Chick said she knew exactly what she was doing. She knew she wouldn't stay in prison. And while Nick is where he should be, she should be there for abuse to him. I don't believe he would have done it but for her. She seems extremely scary, like a female version of Psycho, exactly mimicking. Yeah, that's true. I don't think we will ever know the true Gypsy. She was always acting, always mimicking, just a straight up chameleon. Absolutely agree with you guys.
You can go up it, and there's like windows and stuff that you can look out over the middle. Almost positive. I just went to Chicago. There's what's called the Sky Deck. Have you ever heard of that? I can't think of what building it is, but it's like 110 floors up or something like that. And they built like an extension on the building, and it's all glass. So you step out and you look.
Oh my.
I mean, there's obviously the floor because you're standing on it, but it's see-through, so you can see the. It was really cool. Very cool.
Wow. That sounds neat. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of the opposite. It's called megalophobia, and it's big things. So, say if I was right here.
Just knows about phobias also. Wow.
This is a St. Louis arch. And here looking up, that would scare me to death.
Really? So you would probably do it all in a big city then, huh?
No. I've been to Kansas City so much that, because my hospital was there, because I had a bunch of different specialists, and I go for dermatology and different things like this, and dental there, so we would stay weeks at a time in Kansas City, and we would have the bad stuff, which would be the doctor's appointments,
right.
and then the good stuff, which would be the fun stuff, like going to the plot.
I agree, Tony. I think Dee Dee did more psychological and mental abuse than any physical abuse. Right. Any physical or even the medical stuff. Like I said, I do think that there was some exaggerations and maybe some hints of Munchausen by proxy, but just like that doctor stated, there wasn't enough to really follow through. CPS goes there. They didn't do anything to follow through. But yeah, and you know, her kind of hiding under this blanket. At one point in her interrogation, which we haven't gotten to yet, remember they asked her about bruises on her arms, and he's like, "How did you get those?" Blah blah. Blah. You know, those definitely could have been defensive wounds from Dee Dee. And here she is hiding them, I think.
Plaza, and it's just basically a bunch of expensive shops, but it's quite pretty. See the plaza lights at night. And Union Station, Crown Center. So there's been some interesting things to do there.
Yeah. Sounds like it. I had like 6 going to different ones and seeing how they're different. In Kansas City before.
It's called the, they have a lot of fountains.
Do they?
Yeah, and I always call it, it's kind of a bad joke, but I call it Paris for hillbillies.
Paris for hillbillies? Yeah. I like it. I wonder why they have so many fountains.
I don't know. Oh, but if you ever get to go there,
Yes.
make sure you go to Nelson Atkins Museum.
Nelson Atkins Museum.
It's an art museum.
Okay.
I don't know if you like art or not, but they have the statue of the thinker that's there.
Like the guy who's like
Yeah.
Just knows about the thinker statue as well. But she has a kindergarten education.
I took a picture by it. I did the whole thing. And they have a real mummy. And just a bunch of art and beautiful things, statues. It's huge.
Really? And that's in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. It's across from the plaza.
Across.
And it's for them, it's free.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's even better then.
I think the only thing you have to pay for is in case you want to see the traveling exhibit, which would be where you first come in, and it's the first area. But other than that, the museum is free.
Okay. Is it half in Missouri and half in
Kansas?
It is, right?
Yeah, they have
The river
KCK and KCMO. So.
Is it a pretty big river though?
It is pretty big. Yeah, but the only thing is St. Louis, I call it the daddy city, Kansas City is the mama city, and Springfield is the baby city.
Okay.
And to get to the mall, you have to go out of Missouri into Kansas, then back into Missouri, because that's how the road goes.
That's crazy. Just to go to the mall, you gotta leave the state. So how far is Springfield from the border then? That's more towards the center of the state, isn't it? Or is it right on the border too?
It is not exactly dead center. But let's see. But let me just shake it. It's like right here.
Okay.
And Kansas City would be here. St. Louis would be here.
Gotcha.
And Branson would be down here.
Okay.
And an expert in geography too for somebody so sheltered, right?
Yeah, I was thinking of. I don't know. That was close to where I was thinking it was. So how long does it take?
Does she talk in a baby voice on purpose? I think that there's a level of it that is definitely purposeful. Ryan, her husband, they're not divorced yet, so he's still technically her husband, states that that's just how she talks and that people need to stop criticizing it. The fact that he has her back still, like he'll throw little jabs at her, but she definitely still has him on the back burner and under her thumb, I think. She's manipulating him, dragging him along.
You need the Kansas City then.
From Springfield, about 5 hours.
Okay, that's a decent amount.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not a day trip. Unless you want a really long day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit my boyfriend upside the head if he did something.
Oh my God. So we go through this little bit of like awkward silence. I'm going to hit my boyfriend upside the head if he did something. Already spinning that he did something. You know, if he did something. Unbelievable.
He got arrested back last year for watching porn at a McDonald's. I told him never do that again.
It's an odd thing.
Mm-hmm. He sure got an earful from me.
Were you born in Louisiana?
Mm-hmm.
So originally from Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. I wish I could say I'm as good as a cook as my mom, but I'm just now starting to learn to cook macaroni and cheese.
There's nothing wrong with mac and cheese.
But my mom knows how to make pretty much anything Cajun.
Oh, really?
Gumbo especially. That's my favorite.
Never had gumbo. I always wanted to try gumbo.
Oh,
You always hear
it's
people
so
talk about it.
good.
I'm a big crawfish fan.
Oh,
So,
I never had crawfish, only shrimp.
okay.
As far as seafood goes, I've had fried fish and shrimp.
Okay. Yeah, seafood's probably my favorite thing. It's really good. Shrimp is probably my favorite food of all time.
Sauteed shrimp.
Any kind of shrimp. Except for the coconut stuff. It takes away the flavor from the shrimp.
Never had that.
No? Coconut breaded or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I just like plain old shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
I like them either fried or sauteed. Or in a spaghetti.
And spaghetti?
In spaghetti.
Can't say I've ever had it in spaghetti. I think your shrimp's good with anything.
Yeah. But one of the things is, it's kind of like a jambalaya.
Mm-hmm.
So a spaghetti is similar to a jambalaya. You just have to add slightly different ingredients.
For jambalaya?
For jambalaya. You add your shrimp and your smoked sausage and your other seasonings, but you put it over rice instead of spaghetti.
Oh, okay. I probably like that better. Yeah, I'm not a big spaghetti fan. Jambalaya sounds pretty good, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty tasty.
donate. A lot of people ask me, "You're from Louisiana? Do you like alligator meat?" I'm like, no, never had it.
I think I've had alligator tail once. At least that's what they told me it was. It tasted like chicken, so it's probably chicken.
Oh my gosh.
It was either at State Fair, Summerfest. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a big music festival in Milwaukee. All the different kinds of different foods.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Frog legs? Ever had frog legs?
No.
No?
I'm kind of picky whenever it comes to eating, like anything that doesn't sound good. I won't eat it.
It's true. No, sesame frog legs, that sounds delicious. That just doesn't happen. It's a valid point. Yeah, I wonder who thought of that. You know what? Let's open up a restaurant and serve frog legs. I feel like that wouldn't be very good on the restaurant plan, but
No.
worked out for someone.
And what I've learned is Cajuns and hillbillies don't have that much more of a difference.
No?
No.
Pretty similar?
Very similar.
How so? How'd you get to this conclusion?
Well, they both have this way about them that they don't like to spend a lot of money, so they don't live in a life of luxury.
Okay.
In Louisiana, it's you get married, or you're born, you grow up, you get married, you have kids, and it starts all over again. And
Exactly, Sprinkled Donut. How does she know all this food tasted, how all this food tasted when she had a feeding tube? And her family has stated on a documentary that when Dee Dee wasn't around, she would eat like through her mouth. Which kind of goes to my argument a bit on people say, no, she needed that feeding tube because of her chromosomal disorder. But when you look all that stuff up, that type of treatment for that disorder kind of goes away after a few years, and most of them outgrow it. But Dee Dee consistently had it for her throughout her teens. So it's a very complex case in the sense that I think there were pieces of evidence that kind of point to her being like Dee Dee doing things to her that just weren't really necessary, but some of it was necessary. And the fact that she was able to consume food and taste it, talk about it the way she does, like clearly she wasn't always using that feeding tube, but she had it still. And Dee Dee like kept her to have it. So I just am like, I'm still on the fence about, people saying that Dee Dee didn't have Munchausen by proxy when there's things like the feeding tube and her talking about food and stuff. Like she might have needed the feeding tube for a little bit, but I don't think that she needed it her whole life. For as long as she did. She had the feeding tube to get sympathy and medical care, in my opinion. Yeah, just keep the image out there, right? As well as shaving her head. Tell people that she has leukemia so they get these free trips, and Make-A-Wish Foundation and all that, and shave her head as well. So I think that there is some pieces of evidence that point to her being, yeah, that's true too, Mojo. Allegedly, Dee Dee's mom had Munchausen by proxy as well. So it's just, everyone has different opinions, but I think that there is something to be said about things of her family saying that she would eat food without the feeding tube and all that, even though she still had it.
And that's pretty much how hillbillies are too.
Yeah.
And my mom was supposed to marry someone else to benefit the company of a shrimping boat, because my mom worked on a shrimping boat with her dad, and it's just a tradition that a lot of teenagers pass on to their kids. And instead she met my dad, and anyway, she said that the guy she was supposed to marry's son and her daughter, me, was supposed to get married and make a union to benefit a company to stronger the shrimping business, make it more profitable. But I moved away, so I'm like, no arranged marriage.
When I think of a shrimping company, all I can think of is Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Well, I've only been trawling once.
Okay, how was it?
Not fun.
Not fun?
Not fun. Not for me. I don't like the smell.
And Andrea, we all have different opinions. You don't have to tell me to use my common sense. Then why did the doctors keep in the feeding tube? Come on, use common sense. She shaved her head when Dee Dee had cancer. She is a murderer. She was 23 years old. Never said she didn't murder. Never said she wasn't 23 years old. And the whole theory that she shaved her head just because Dee Dee had cancer, her head was shaved even before Dee Dee's cancer diagnosis. The feeding tube, I believe that could still be something that doctors, I mean, you think doctors are saints? Sometimes doctors continue on procedures and treatments due to manipulation by the parents. And Dee Dee definitely shopped around with doctors. So I don't know. There's just no need to be rude like that.
Oh, was it smelly?
It was. Smelly and sweaty.
Can imagine. Probably hard work, too.
My mom did more work. I was only like about 5 at the time.
Okay,
So
you just got to hang out a lot.
yeah, I just got to hang out and watch my grandfather do it.
Okay.
Yeah, Medicare fraud indeed. And that's the other thing too, is people like to say, look at her medical records. It states here, 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 and here. It's like those medical records jumped from doctors to doctors. Dee Dee manipulated these doctors. So I don't really source the medical information as fact or truth, because they easily could have been, doctors tend to go by what a mother says, right or wrong. And if the mother's adamant about certain things, if the mother is withholding food and starving their child, then yeah, they're going to look malnourished. But they could come out and say, see, look, they're not gaining weight and I'm feeding her. I mean, there is instances of doctors being manipulated by parents. So are you saying that there's no history of parents manipulating doctors? Just because you say, then why did the doctors do it? Sorry, it really annoys me. Yeah, the medical info was faulty. Right. I do not think that the medical records are anything to go by as far as the Bible in this case. Love you, Amber, and don't let the idiots bother you. They don't bother me. It's just like I've stated over and over my opinion on this stuff. And just because I don't align with the people who just want to say that Dee Dee didn't have Munchausen and check the medical records, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm sorry, but doctors are not gods. They work off of money. I didn't mean it rudely, but Gypsy is a liar and she still is and is conning people. Never said, is this your first time here, Andrea? I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude back, but that everything you're saying, we agree with there. It's just when you say things like use common sense, you're insinuating that I don't have common sense.
Very cool.
I'm not from New Orleans. I'm from a very, very small town in the southest part of South. It's Golden Meadow, Louisiana.
Golden Meadow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's by Grand Isle.
Grand Isle. I'm trying to picture. I can't picture Grand Isle. You got any other big cities near it that I can try and picture?
The closest thing would be New Orleans.
But that's
Because it's like New Orleans is here, and there's a bunch of kind of like where Louisiana makes the boot shape, the tip of the boot.
Okay. So
The very bottom of the boot.
Okay. Gotcha. You're way down there. That would have been cool growing up by the ocean, though.
It's mostly swamps.
Okay. It's all nice.
You can't go swimming too much. Muddy water. You think it's the ocean, you think it's all clean and everything, but it's all swamps.
Right, Letitia. And the thing too about America is the offices, doctor offices and hospitals, it's all business. So if they want to believe a parent who's saying certain things like Dee Dee could have been saying, then, you know, it's their business that they're like thriving from. She switched so many doctors, some probably didn't check anything and just did what Dee Dee said. Absolutely.
Quite the opposite, though.
I've only been to the ocean once.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And that was last year. My mom and I went to Cape Cod.
Vacation to you guys too?
Oh.
Florida for a month? Cape Cod?
And we went whale watching.
How's that?
Oh, we saw 9 humpback whales.
9 of them?
Mm-hmm.
All together?
All together.
That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
They come up real close to the boat, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very close. One even lifted its flipper and it was like,
Really? Cape Cod. Did you go to South Africa too, or just pretty much Cape Cod in South Africa?
No, Cape Cod is in the U.S. It's in Massachusetts.
I think of that. Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
I've never been out of the country.
Okay.
Sadly.
I'm trying to think of a little. I don't know. Brain fart. It's been a long time. I don't know. You didn't have any lobster when you're out there?
No.
Aren't they famous for their lobster?
I think so. The interesting thing is their cheese. They don't have yellow cheese. They have just white cheese.
It's all white cheese?
All white cheese. And, like, it's cheddar. It's white.
It's white cheddar. Interesting.
And we stayed at the Cape Cod Resort. And it's weird because they don't have Walmarts in Cape Cod. They don't have McDonald's.
Is it all little stores?
They have a Big K and a
Big
mall.
K. I don't even know they have those anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what they have. And they have a couple of other little shops, but that's about it. And at the resort that we were staying at, it's a very expensive, fancy resort. And the only thing is they have no washer and dryer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And it was for a medical conference that we went. Mm-hmm. And it was for people with feeding tubes.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun. We got to learn a lot. Went to a lot of seminars. I went to Wellfleet, which is a conservation station. That's up by kind of like a hook. It's kind of like right here at the tip of the hook.
Okay.
And that was a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends.
Was it warm when you went, or was it cold?
They had chilly days and they had warm days.
Okay, so it was in the middle.
Right.
Not too bad. So I imagine they'd be pretty cold right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of far up there.
And then we got to visit with our friends that live in Boston, Mr. J and Miss Sarah. Mr. J works for the New England Patriots. He's, I think he manages Gillette Stadium.
Okay.
So he runs, like, helps with security and all that.
One of the big guys.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
He used to work for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Until he started working for the Patriots.
Very cool. Did you get to tour the stadium or anything like that?
Not that time, because they came to Cape Cod. We didn't go to Boston.
Oh, okay. Didn't make that stop.
No.
Interesting.
But next time.
Next time, there you go.
Okay.
Boston would be a cool city to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So would Cape Cod, though. That'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of Cape Town. That's in South Africa.
Oh,
so
okay.
I got the Capes to say. So wasn't that far off.
And then I got a football signed by the Patriots and the Chiefs.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
That's whenever I'm a big fan of Tim Tebow, and he was working for the Patriots at the time.
The other thing too about the whole argument of like, why would the doctors do these procedures or keep the feeding tube if she didn't need it? It's like you're putting the doctors up on this pedestal, but the doctor who came out in the documentaries and records from the case who said that he's seen symptoms of Munchausen by proxy in Dee Dee, that doctor's word doesn't get put up as anything significant. If you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So to say like, oh no, the doctors wouldn't have done all this if she didn't need it. But the doctor who saw signs of Munchausen by proxy, who has come out and spoke openly about it, his word and integrity don't mean anything.
Unfortunately, he got traded before I got a chance to.
I think he's back playing football somewhere.
Hmm.
He got hired by someone again. Yo.
I have to say, I am a Green Bay fan.
Good.
So,
You have to be now.
yeah.
Heroes.
And just by saying that she, could have had Munchausen by proxy doesn't mean that she wasn't conning and that they weren't liars, etc. Like, I think that both could be true. Just want to make that clear.
Johnson.
Big Green Bay fan.
You won't be when it starts getting cold. Peachy.
I agree, Michelle. She says, I really wish she would get what she deserves instead of her now being famous. It's absolutely sickening. And just her kind of talking about, like, for example, like earlier, I tried to show you guys this video that she posted on her Instagram of her in San Diego with Ken. And I couldn't play it because of the copyrighted music, but she's got this music and song to it that's talking about the good life. And it's like, here she is skipping around in San Diego. And if she had way more involvement, like we're really feeling like she did, like, how is that right? How is that right? How is that fair? This whole 10 million followers, everything on her baby registry bought up that were thousands and thousands of dollars. It's really unbelievable. Yeah, and it is convenient. Dee Dee can't apologize or defend herself, right? And here Gypsy's telling everyone she's chained to the bed, she was, beat, this and that. And we went through her testimony at Nick's trial. She never mentioned any of that. She mentioned how controlling she was and etc. But why wouldn't she have made those statements on the stand? Those things developed after she got out of prison.
But a Saints fan. Way down.
Well, there you go. That's even more. I did always like Drew Brees.
Hmm.
Yeah. So did you leave Louisiana before Hurricane Katrina? Or
After our home was destroyed in the storm surge, we were living in Slidell, Louisiana at the time, which is basically north New Orleans.
Okay.
I agree, Lynn. She said, scares me how a person like Gypsy can be on platforms where young, influential people can see and hear her. And they all know what she did or what she was a part of. And we've already had a case. I don't know the name of it, but we've talked about it, and you guys had heard about it too, about a girl who was bragging about being famous and the attention she was getting for committing a similar act on one of her parents. And that was recently in the news. So it's very twisted. Let me just read a couple more of your guys' comments. We're over an hour, so we'll probably conclude. Hit that like button if you haven't. She can say anything and defend it's saying it's true what her mom did to her. It's looking more and more obvious lies by the minute, in my opinion. Right. Yeah. Yeah, tell everybody that you were chained to the bed when you ran away, etc. Because everyone's been questioning, why didn't you just leave? How convenient she comes out with a story about being chained to the bed. As many times I've watched this video, I'm realizing just how much she just rambling on about nothing, but it shows her intelligence level and her ability to retain information. Yeah, exactly. And us re-reviewing this with our different perspective on her, it's definitely screaming volumes to me of just another side of her, another personality, like the chameleon. Yeah, the good life. After 18, she could have got up and walked anytime. Exactly. And everyone's been saying that. So that's why it's so convenient and interesting that she came out with that I was chained to the bed story. No need to apologize, Andrea. I just have pregnancy hormones too. So I wasn't even that upset. It just probably came off that way. But I know Gypsy, her case is very complicated, and a lot of people are just get into their feelings about it too. Social media is nuts, right? The chains were hid pretty good, right? Exactly. Of course, none of that was left for the crime scene photos to see, right? She's smart and manipulative. Not everyone can pull that off, right? 8 years in prison, that's it. All right, guys. I appreciate you all being here. Yeah, exactly. She upsets us all. Gypsy kind of triggers us all. I was thinking of maybe doing a live stream, a random one over the weekend. Next week is going to be my last week before my little maternity leave. So I was thinking if I can squeeze one in this weekend, I have a lot to do, but I might try to. So be on the lookout. I will post it in the Facebook groups and on my community page if I end up doing one. But either way, I will see you guys very, very soon, I hope. And you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk very soon. And yeah, have a good night.